order, but she shot her.
Baby, this case is straight out of a crime drama with non-stop twists and turns. We're talking about the shocking death of Romeca Meek. Her baby daddy Carlos lost Sway, and his girlfriend KJA Johnson, better known as Holly Johnson. Imagine this. You're just trying to drop your kid off at school, and suddenly your baby daddy's other baby mama pulls up, and your life ends in the most brutal way possible. Witnesses say Romeca had just finished dropping off her son in Chicago's South Loop when chaos exploded in broad daylight. In the middle of a heated fight, Los allegedly had Romeca in a headlock, and that's when Holly pulled out a gun and fired at close range.
The deadly happened this morning right here along Romeca near State after loved ones of the victim say she had just dropped her son at school.
The scene was so wild, people could barely believe it actually happened right there in public. Now here's where the story gets real messy. When news first broke, reports swirled that Los himself ordered the hit, especially since Romeca had a restraining order against him after claims of abuse. But the plot flipped. The new story is that Los and Holly were the ones dropping the child off while Romeca showed up with his lunch. That's when, according to some accounts, Romeca got aggressive and Holly allegedly fired in what's being spun as self-defense. And guess what? Holly walked free not long after being arrested, and the case is now allegedly closed. Yes, you heard that right. But here's the kicker. People in the streets are whispering that something shady is going on because there's no way they'd just let her out unless there's more to this story than we've been told. Digging deeper, reports surfaced claiming Holly actually had a protection order against Romeca. On top of that, there are tons of videos floating around showing Romeca threatening her and allegedly rolling up on her with pure hostility. Some folks are saying the authorities wouldn't have released Holly if she was the one in the wrong. Others swear they've seen those same videos where Romeca looks aggressive and even stalking baby mama number 2. This is giving serious back and forth vibes. But wait, it gets even more suspicious. Eyewitnesses are now claiming that Holly and Los weren't even riding together. They both pulled up in separate cars to the school that morning. Now tell me, why would a couple show up separately unless something was being plotted? People are already asking if the whole thing was staged to look like self-defense, when in reality, it could have been a setup. Like I told you, this case keeps flipping like a movie script. What was first reported was that Romeca had just left her son's school in Chicago's South Loop when she ran into Holly, aka the mother of her baby daddy's other child, and that's when it all went down. What started as a heated argument in front of children spiraled into something unthinkable. Witnesses say Holly actually pulled a gun on Romeca during the fight and fired point blank in her face in broad daylight. The scene turned tragic in seconds, and instead of calming things down, Los allegedly jumped in and only added fuel to the chaos. Emergency crews rushed Romeca to Stroger Hospital, but it was too late. She was pronounced dead. She leaves behind her young son and a devastated family now begging for justice. Loved ones, neighbors, and friends have been holding vigils, describing Romeca as a devoted mom whose entire world revolved around her child. Reports even say she was in school, chasing her dream of becoming a nurse, all while balancing motherhood with grace and strength. The most gut-wrenching part? Hours before her death, Romeca had slipped a handwritten note into her son's lunchbox, and after the incident, that note went viral. In it, she wrote, "You can start off strong. Always remain yourself. You're the coolest, smartest, and funniest kid I know. I love you so much, and you make me so proud. Have a great day. Mommy loves you. Love, Mommy." That simple message broke the internet's heart. It showed just how much love she carried for her boy. But the whispers around this tragedy are just as loud as the grief. Some claim this wasn't just a fight gone wrong, but a calculated move. Allegedly, Holly was jealous, convinced Los was still hung up on his first baby mama because Romeca was stunning, well put together, living her best life, and had actually managed to break free from Los's toxic grip. Reports even suggest Romeca had endured years of narcissistic abuse from him, finally finding peace away from the drama, until it came crashing back in the most violent way. An online petition has now picked up steam, framing Romeca's death as a painful reminder of how domestic violence continues to destroy lives behind closed doors. The message is clear. It's time for leaders and communities to finally take a real stand against this silent epidemic before more lives are stolen in broad daylight. The petition also demanded real action, calling on law enforcement and local leaders to take this tragedy seriously, launch a thorough investigation, and deliver justice swiftly and fairly. People are saying this isn't just about one case, It's about restoring trust in the safety of schools, neighborhoods, and the entire community. It pushed hard for expanded domestic violence awareness programs, more funding for shelters and resources, and real protection for people stuck in dangerous situations. The message was powerful. No one should live in fear inside their own home, and no child should ever lose a parent in such a brutal way. But here's where the outrage really exploded. Police confirmed Holly, the woman accused of pulling the trigger, was taken into custody only to be released days later without a single charge. Witnesses were furious, insisting they saw exactly what went down. One viral clip even caught Holly herself bragging that she was licensed to carry. At the same time, people in the background could be heard yelling that Los had Romeca in a headlock right before she was shot. Another woman on the scene shouted at officers to arrest Holly, claiming she literally saw her fire the weapon and then stash it in her car. Now here's the twist that makes this case so messy. It just doesn't add up. Why would Holly randomly ambush Romeca at her son's school in broad daylight? That's when sources close to the situation stepped in with a whole different version of events. They claim Holly never drove in from Wisconsin that morning. She was already at Los's house. Together, they dropped off Los and Romeca's son at school. Reports say Romeca then circled back to deliver her boy's lunch, spotted Holly, and confronted her, sparking the deadly fight that followed. Adeja reportedly had an active order of protection against Romeca at the time, and sources are pushing the story that Romeca was the aggressor. They claim Adeja only struck back during the fight. But here's where things get messy. Other witnesses are saying something completely different. They insist that both Adeja, the second baby mama, and Carlos, the baby daddy, actually showed up at the school in separate cars that morning. And now the internet is buzzing. Why would they need to drive separately if they came from the same house? Was it just a coincidence or part of a plan? That tiny detail has cracked open a much bigger theory, that maybe this wasn't just a heated fight gone wrong, but a setup carefully staged to look like self-defense. Some people believe this was orchestrated from the jump. Meanwhile, Romeca's family isn't buying into theories. They're focused on one thing: justice. Her mother broke down at the memorial, saying the little boy is devastated, not speaking to anyone, and that the family just wants accountability. It's heartbreaking, but at the same time, the questions keep piling up with no straight answers. The witness accounts don't match up, legal records like the protection order muddy the waters, and those viral videos keep pushing the narrative in all directions. Was Romeca really the aggressor, or was the confrontation staged to make it look that way? Did Adeja truly fire out of fear, or was this a plot that had been simmering long before that morning? And then comes the darkest speculation. Some people are now saying Los himself could have masterminded the entire thing, showing up in a separate car, pulling strings behind the scenes, and disguising it as self-defense. So, was this a random fight that spiraled out of control, or a premeditated setup from the very start? And has this case really been closed, or is there way more still being covered up? Until more evidence surfaces, all we've got are questions, contradictions, and a family screaming for justice for Romeca Meek. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think about this wild case.